You were starting.
Cleveland! This is for you!
Good afternoon, everybody, and we are coming to you live with a special Cleveland Browns post-game edition of the Land Show, and today was atrocious from everything except the first 11 seconds of the game today can just be thrown into a bonfire because the Browns laid a stinker, and I'm trying to think of the last time that they had this disappointing of a loss. But joining me here this afternoon, James Elfritz and Clarence Wilson. I'd ask how you're doing, boys, but I know that we're ready to leave some scorched earth here in wake of this 21-15 loss to the 0-2 as they entered New York Giants. We'll just take it away, and whoever wants to go first and kind of get us rolling here on this afternoon. And I think Clarence pulls the short straw on that. So go ahead, C-Dub.
This shit blew. When they came out, it was nice. You know, the quick fumble, quick pass downfield, first play touchdown, which I saw was the first time they scored on the first play from scrimmage since like 05. So we're talking almost 20 years it's happened. And then from there on, it was downhill. The offensive line looked like they never picked up a fucking blitz in their life ever. Like they didn't practice it. They didn't know how to pick up a blitz. They didn't try to pick up a blitz. It was awful. Watson, no words for some of the shit that I saw today. This is a complete team loss. Don't get me wrong, but I was told that you bring in a guy like Watson so he can cover up some of the warts and the shortcomings of what this team might have. That's not what we saw today. That's not what we saw today. Just a random thought that I had during the game when they're down 21-7. I'll be damned if you want me to pay for a stadium to go watch this shit. I'll go right down to the lakefront and watch it, but I'm not paying for no damn stadium to watch this bullshit. Absolutely unacceptable what we witnessed on that field today against an 0-2 New York Giants team that we should have walked in and pounded. We made Daniel Jones look like prime Joe Montana, or if you want to call it a Giants guy, look like prime Jeff Hostetler in the Super Bowl, or prime Phil Simms, or prime Eli Manning when this dude blows ass. I can't take this shit when these dudes come out and lay an egg like this. It's awful, awful, awful. There's no excuse for the reasons for what they did and how they played. Again, that whole blitz pickup, I was flabbergasted at the way that these guys could not pick up a blitz to save their life. Offense in the first half, absolute garbage, where they have 41 total yards. My son had 22 yards passing, and if I want to see this shit, like I told you guys, these guys get 20, maybe 30 minutes of my time a day, and then I'm on to the next game. But this was pathetic.
Yeah, don't forget they had 7 yards rushing on offense at halftime. They weren't even trying to run the football to try to slow that pass rush down. We were getting dominated at the line of scrimmage. It was disgusting. I mean, the beginning of it, to go back, Clarence, the beginning of the game was great. Couldn't have happened any better. Get a turnover on the opening kickoff, touchdown pass that was probably one of Deshaun's best passes I've seen to Amari Cooper, who people have been tough on, have been struggling, came out in the media this week, kind of put himself out there, how he's got to practice more like game speed, and showed up that first play. So it was a great start to the game. And, like I said, it just kept getting worse and worse. Who's that? Coop? Well, yeah, because I think they were looking over at the other sideline and they were looking at the plays because what did we talk about on Monday? We talked about Neighbors had 18 targets and they had like 14 catches last week. Okay, so who do we have to shut down? Like, who's the guy that we got to shut down? And we couldn't do it. We saw Ward on him. We saw Emerson on him. We saw Newsom on him. And he still had a big day. Still had 2 touchdowns. What, first rookie to score, the youngest rookie to score 2 touchdowns in a game. I mean, the kid played great. Don't get me wrong. I got to give him credit. And our defense did, overall showed up pretty well. But still, it's just that it's so frustrating to come. And I'm so glad that you mentioned about the people that go down to the stadium week after week that spend not just their whole, not Sundays, like when we're watching from home and we're trying to get things done before 1 o'clock around the house so we can sit and watch 3.5 hours of football, Browns football. But for all the fans that are gassing up their vehicles that they spent all their money on to go to the Muni lot or the other places, get down early, all the food and the beer and the ice and all the time and money that's spent on this franchise. And I sit here with a Cleveland Guardians hat who actually won a division this week. And all this attention goes to the Browns, and this is the stuff that they put out for us. And it's really disappointing, especially what halftime was meant for, welcoming Browns legends, Phil Dawson and Jim Donovan. It was a great start. I'm sure there was a lot of inspiration right there to start that game, but we can't sustain really be able to hold on to our success and let it carry from possession to possession, because the O-line, I don't know if Jameis was in there, guys, Jameis probably would have threw 3 touchdowns, maybe 4. Now 2 or 3 of them probably would have been for to the Giants defense because he wouldn't have had any time to throw either. But man, it's just so disappointing because the Giants going into the Commanders last week, and they lost to the Commanders. They got a rookie quarterback. We're thinking that this is a game on our schedule we should get. We all thought it, but you also, I think Clarence brought up about a trap game and how concerning it was. But we just got outplayed, guys. I don't know what to say. Like, I know it's the goal is to go 1-0 every week, right? But they smoked us at the line of scrimmage for the majority of the game.
Yeah, and the gimmick of bringing in Jameis Winston there on that
Should
third
have
down
done.
and short. Yeah, everyone in the stadium knows what's coming, and Thibodeau just rams through what was left of the offensive line, and Jameis Winston gave him a piggyback ride for about 3 yards to the right, nothing forward, and then they were short on that 4th down attempt, and the Giants defense just swarmed Deshaun Watson, and like you said, Clarence, Stefanski did nothing to try to, throw something different at him, try to get Jerome Ford out in space on a quick screen or on a pitch or something, try to keep, because they're clearly jamming the middle coming right into the pocket, so try to get something quick out of it. And Kevin Stefanski stands there with his hands on his hips, or I know the women in Cleveland think he looks good, but me and a few friends call him Fit Freddy because sometimes that's what he looks like. Freddie Kitchens standing over there, but instead of a big guy in a hoodie, he's a more fit guy and looks better. But it's just been, they fell behind early in the season, 0-1, and then you look at the schedule and you go to Jacksonville, you welcome the Giants today, and then you go on the road to Vegas and then the Commanders, and you're like, okay, if they can win 3 of 4 of these next 4 games after falling to the Cowboys, maybe they can do something. But now you look, and Vegas is 2-0 coming into this week. The Commanders played the Giants well last week, and Daniels has looked pretty good for a rookie quarterback, and they have Scary Terry. They have some players over there, so. And you're going on the road, so you can't really count that as a win. At this point, is there a game the rest of the season that you can look and even on paper say, oh, the Browns should win that one? Maybe they're favored in that game against Washington, but
Hell no.
I don't see one
No.
the rest of the way. They're going to pull a few out just by the laws of averages, but they're you can say, oh, they have a tough schedule, but they were still expected to at least be a 9-8 team, and a lot of people said, oh, that's kind of the basement, that's the floor. And right now, that might be the ceiling.
I went back and watched our prediction show a little bit the other day, and I was just going through. I remember I picked the Browns to win this game, but just going through, I remember saying if there was one game that was on the schedule that they had that was a guaranteed win for sure, I was like, oh, it's the Saints. Later on the season, that's the Saints. It ain't the Saints.
Nope.
Saints might come in and Saints might whip their ass. Yeah, they might whip their ass. I don't know, man. Like I'm just. It's not supposed to look like this. Alan had a good question. Like, should they have benched Watson? Like, what? How long is the leash? How long is the leash on him? Like, how long is the leash on Watson?
It better not be till the money runs out. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I mean, at this point, why don't they cut their losses and sit his ass and go ahead and just let Jameis play and then let the chips fall where they may? Because they already screwed up the Baker situation by not benching his ass after he didn't play against Denver, and then they could have traded him for something. Instead, they threw his ass back out there, let him play hurt, and tanked any value that he had. It's not like we're going to be dealing Watson at any point. So we finally got a first-round pick, and I'm not giving up on the season. Don't get me wrong. I'm pissed. I'm frustrated. Like, this is not what I expected to watch today. But at the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say that this dude is the answer because, again, we've seen one good half of football. We've seen one good half of football in all his starts. Today he was on the run. I will give him that. But even when he had time, it wasn't a thing of beauty out there. Outside of the coop throws, like it was not a thing of beauty. He was still sailing the ball over dudes' heads. There was still miscommunications. Like, and then can we drop the Foreman experiment? Like I feel like just give the ball to Ford a little bit more. He seems like he runs a little bit angrier. Just try and run the ball, period, a little bit more. But I'd like to see the ball in Ford's hands just a tiny bit more. I feel like running Foreman all this time is just a waste of time. He doesn't run as angry to me. He doesn't run as inspired to me as Ford does. But you got to try and run the ball to begin with. I think they had 7 runs or something like that in the first half. Like, what the hell, man? Like, what?
And we even had a 7-0 lead.
The last thing I'm going to say really quickly, I'll let y'all talk. Yeah, exactly. But the last thing I'm going to say really quickly, but I'll let y'all talk. Why? It looks more and more suspect that we let our offensive coaching room go. I'm not going to talk about Callahan. If your son asks you to come help him in his first job, you're bouncing. So I get him. I get them letting him walk. But they were 11-5 last year. And they let AVP and everybody go. And they bring in Dorsey, who got fired because they couldn't get the Bills to do shit. And this is what our offense looks like? Again, it's game 3. This team has a chance to get better. But that was some elementary offense that I saw out there today. Nothing inspiring, nothing that was ground shaking, nothing that was juicy, nothing that was special. All these words that these guys have been using to describe this offense. Yeah, right?
There's that word again.
To describe it. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're gonna beat that dead horse all year until we start seeing some consistent offense for 4 quarters. Because that's just how it is. There's nothing juicy about it. But then again, when you can't block, and then later in the game, like they were talking about, I'm sure you heard the guys talk about they're only rushing 4 instead of 5, and it felt like that's what was giving the Browns a chance and Deshaun a little bit of a chance to throw the ball. I still don't understand why they weren't like the same way with us, where they didn't start shutting Cooper down. We just kept throwing to him, which, hey, I mean, keep going to it, right? Until they stop it. And it's just so frustrating that I know we don't have Njoku out there. I know Chubb's not ready yet, but man, I'm ready for the bat signal because they need something that they need a game breaker. Like Cooper can get open and Cooper can make catches and he's just an absolute solid pro. But he's not that game breaker that we need that can to break away and get a lot of yak in a way that Njoku was doing there towards the end of the year last year, hitting him in stride, getting a lot of yak. And, we know what Chubb can do when he gets past the line of scrimmage and gets to the next level. So actually, I take that back. Maybe we don't know. Maybe we still need to find out if he's still got it or not. And I'm sure he's going to be somewhere close. And man, to me, that's the one that's the guy that's got to come back to help. We talked about Star Wars bringing balance to the Force. Well, we need Chubb to bring some balance to this offense. And I think we're now at 1-2, and then you look up in the standings and you see the goddamn Steelers at 3-0 with what they've had at quarterback, relying on their backbone, their defense, and taking care of the football and playing physical and playing smart. And here they are, 3-0 again. And I don't even really give a damn what the Ravens and the Bengals do right now. I really don't. We got our own problems. But looking up at Pittsburgh just always pisses me off.
Yeah, definitely. Looking at the stats here real quick, Cooper ended the game 7 receptions, 86 yards, and those 2 touchdowns. Jerome Ford, 3 receptions, 33 yards. Jordan Akins, 4 receptions for 29. Jerry Jeudy, 4 for 27. Jeudy seemed to be kind of not a big part of the game plan today, and that kind of was puzzling. I know Cooper had his best game of the season, but you think that they tried to get Jeudy the ball a little bit more. So that was a little surprising, but yeah, your best play, the best part of the game was the first 11 seconds, and that's thanks to a turnover on the kickoff return and then a nice pass by Watson to find Cooper there on the sideline in the end zone. But after that, it wasn't until the fourth quarter where the Giants kind of went more into coverage and less attacking defense, and that kind of gave the Browns offense a little life there. But we only wanted to come on for a little bit, knowing that these 4 o'clock games are getting started. Just kind of wanted to strike while the oven's hot. Did you guys have anything else to add about what we saw today?
I mean, you can talk about...
yeah, why wasn't Ward on Neighbors from the jump?
What was the what?
Why wasn't Ward there? Like, they put Ward on Neighbors to begin the game. Where they put Ward to begin... They put him on Neighbors to begin the game, and then all of a sudden they put Emerson on him. And I'm sorry, everybody slobs Emerson, but every time I see Emerson get beat, I'm like, man, I wanted Pickens. That's who I wanted. I wanted Pickens, not Emerson. Good player, good third corner, I guess, but Neighbors was eating his lunch.
I got a feeling Neighbors is going to be smoking. He's going to be smoking a lot of DBs this year.
Yeah.
I know. In Ohio, being Buckeyes fans, we all saw what Marvin Harrison Jr. did and expecting that in the pros, and he had a hell of a game last week. But Malik Neighbors definitely going to be one that we hear from, and he looked amazing today. I know he had a drop last week, and people pointed to that as a reason why they lost in Washington, but he was a big part of why they won this week, and I'm sure he'll be a part of the reason why the Giants are in games or winning games the rest of this year and beyond.
Yeah, there's forget the schedule, and that, you know what? This plays right into why I hate doing the damn schedule game. Right here, we're already in week 3. It's stupid. It's a complete waste of time because you just never know. You never know. And we didn't really have, neither team had any major injuries where somebody was missing. So when we looked at this one, we're like, yeah, W. Because what we do, lose one home game last year at Baltimore, and now here we sit 0-2 at home. Like I said, all the people that went up there and spend the money, especially the season ticket holders that just keep grinding it out year after year, going up there. I think too the Greg Newsome penalty on the roughing the passer. His right hand did come up towards the face mask and head area.
Sure.
So by rule, it was. I don't have a problem with the damn penalty. I have a bigger problem with why his hand was up so high, other than maybe he got caught in between from wanting to swat towards the ball, or it is.
But there's got to be intent there, though. There's got to be intent there because he came up, he got him maybe right here, but again, the quarterback's throwing the ball. So what's your first inclination? Put your hands up, man. Try and knock it down. Now that penalty also saved our asses the last 2 weeks as well. So I mean.
Yeah, but that was our opportunity to go up 2 scores right early in the game. Rely on the defense a little more, which we ended up doing anyways because we can't freaking score enough on offense. Just 15 points is not good. That 2-point conversion, I actually walked in the other room after we scored, came back in and saw that we had the 2-point conversion and had to go back and look at it. And I'm like, okay, we got it, but then why would you still put the pressure on your team that if you don't get it, then now you have to get it at the end of the game? To me, that's reverse psychology. I don't like that. I don't know if that's analytics talking. I would not put that pressure on my team that we now have to score a touchdown, especially how we're struggling on offense. I would not put that pressure on the team that way.
And they did it again, too. And
we got lucky. We talked about there's times we got to be lucky.
Yeah, and he did it again, too, with, 3.5 minutes left when they go for it on 4th and 5. Punt the ball. You got 2 touchdowns in a 2-minute warning. Punt the ball. Because basically we got lucky there because we gave them the ball in field goal position and basically for them to kick a field goal and they shanked it. But that field goal would have effectively ended the game if they would have hit it, because we'd have been down by 9, and that would have effectively ended the game. Kick the ball,
and then the possession. I think it was before the missed field goal. Yeah, it was before the missed field goal, but they punted with 14 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, thanks. There's just 4+ minutes I think left. And I was like, damn, I'm surprised they didn't run that clock out or force us to burn a timeout. And then all they had to do is, if they wanted to, take the penalty, go back another 5 yards and still punt. That was a little bit of a favor there for us, and then we still couldn't do anything with it. And what I don't understand is if you're going to go 3rd and 1 like that, and you're going to run Jameis, then why the hell do you come back out? Correct me if I'm wrong, Clarence, but you come back out, 4th and 1 or 1.5 or whatever the hell it was, and then you put Deshaun Watson back in shotgun when you have the same freaking distance to go, and then you have Ford back there. Yes, Ford had a nice 4th quarter. He was playing well. But just last week, and I slightly disagree, Clarence, not that he's my favorite player, but Foreman had a nice week running downhill last week. Why the hell would you put Watson back in shotgun and have Ford out there in that 4th and 1 spot? And after we just had the one possession before that, we were in that shotgun, and then we fumbled the ball in the same formation with Ford back there with Watson. So we don't get it on 3rd and 1, and then you go 4th and 1 with a shotgun and the smaller running back. I don't know if you guys watched Sean King, former quarterback from Tampa Bay Bucks. He was on Cleveland Sports Show, and they were talking to him about and breaking down film with Deshaun, how he had some improvement this week from last week. But I like what he said. He said, outside of Cleveland, he said, Kevin Stefanski, we call him Kevin Too Fancy. Because sometimes he just gets too fancy with what he's doing. And that is the one thing, when I heard that this week,
yeah,
that it always gets to me. I don't I'm not like deeply invested in him like other people are. You know what I mean? Coaches of the year are fine. Yeah, Mike Brown from the Cavs has one. Whoopie ding. Right? So we need more. We need more. We need something that we can not fool ourselves and go with our strengths. And that 4th and 1 play, as soon as I saw Watson cup him back on and in shotgun, I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. So just like last week when what was it, 3rd and whatever, and they rolled him out to the left and he damn near followed the ball. Yeah. Like, why? What are we doing? Like, the clock stopped. They didn't have to use a timeout there. There's some things that I honestly can't get past. So
I've been calling him too fancy for a couple of years. You know this by doing the other show. But you know what? We were all able to overlook it last year when you're going 11-6 and you're making the playoffs. And it's like, all right, yeah, you only run the ball 20 times a game. You're throwing it 45 times and you're winning. Okay, it's easy to overlook. But when you're losing and you're trying to do the same shit, it doesn't hit the same. It just doesn't. Like,
right. When you say that like we've talked about, we have a tougher schedule this year. We got even less room for error. So to me, it's just going to expose us more throughout this season with the penalties and the turnovers that, the defense had an opportunity for several turnovers there, and we just couldn't capitalize. And tough loss today overall. Actually, I'm glad we're kind of getting this out of our system now instead of going to work. All right, what are we going to talk about? How are we going to try to put a positive spin on this? I'm not giving you any positive spin right now. We're just going to play the next game on our schedule and see what the hell happens. Because I'm really, really curious to sit back and watch how long between the offensive line struggles and then Watson's struggles, how long is this going to play out before there's a change made at quarterback? And to answer Alan's question from earlier, should they have benched him? I don't know that Jameis does better. I not today. The 7 sacks could have been more by the Giants. They were just all you have to do is think in reverse last year when we had the Bears in Cleveland and how we were getting to Justin Fields and sacking him. And I think we did the previous year too. So that's kind of what it felt like. It was just the roles are reversed. So I just don't know. I still agree with what you say, Clarence. Watson's still overthrowing dudes. And now when he runs, I know we talked about him sliding, wish he could slide by Russell Wilson. Nah, I don't even care anymore. Just get the yards you can get, and whatever happens, happens. Because it ain't going to make a damn difference, it feels like, whether he's our starting quarterback or the second, or Watson or DTR. It just feels that way, because 15 points is still 15 points.
Yep.
Right. Yep. And next week, the Browns travel to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. That's a 4:25 start. So we'll likely be back next Monday in our regular time slot. And by then, we'll know what's going on with the Guardians as it pertains to the first round of the playoffs, whether they're facing someone.
Depends on what happens.
So, all right, guys, anything else here as we close up?
No, man, I said my piece. Gosh, I don't want to give up on this season. It's week to week.
If they put up another shit box like they did again. I got nothing.
All right.
Go Browns.
Yeah, if it starts getting worse. Yeah, if it starts getting worse, you're going to hear me talking about how Nick Saban or Bill Belichick would look nice in orange.
Oh. All right. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in here for this live post-game episode of The Land Show. Be sure to follow Believe Land Media on all of your socials, as we're in the thick of high school football coverage. Got some college football coverage as well. But, yeah, thank you for watching.